様にはわかるはずだ。デュエリストの血が俺たちを巡り合わせたことを。
どんなデュエルでも受けて立つぜ。そして海馬、お前を倒す。
The story of Yugi Muto follows a young boy who simply had an interest in a collectible card game called Duel Monsters. This was a game played by many internationally and surrounded his day-to-day life, playing with friends and developing a strategy. However, what was once a game became something very different when Yugi met Seto Kaiba, who forced Yugi to duel for something more personal to him. From this point onward, the power of the Millennium Puzzle was awakened, and with it an ancient pharaoh possesses Yugi to help him in his time of need. The ancient artifact known as the Millennium Puzzle made Yugi a target for a number of sinister foes. One by the name of Maximilian Pegasus manages to seal Yugi's grandfather in the Shadow Realm, giving Yugi and the ancient spirit a personal reason to fight. The pharaoh, known as Yami Yugi, must help Yugi to overcome these challenges so that his grandfather can be saved and Pegasus defeated. Despite not being a traditional fighter, Yugi brings a unique gameplay style to Jump Force focused mostly on defensive play. By utilizing an array of monster and spell cards at his disposal, Yugi is able to immobilize his targets at a distance to confirm into high damage. Yugi's ability to control space and punish opponents in the mid to long range give him the traits of a defensive zoner. Yugi excels in his ability to waste time, charge for energy, or get easy, inescapable, high damage combos with his abilities based on the resources he's willing to spend. Yugi's first ability is called Dark Magician Strike. Yugi stands in place as he summons the Dark Magician to perform an attack. The Dark Magician fires out 3 projectile orbs from his staff in fast succession, one after the other. The projectiles are linear from when they are fired, but Dark Magician will track the opponent's movement in between firing the shots. The range is quite far because the Dark Magician is summoned at a remote location in relation to Yugi, basically somewhere between Yugi and his opponent. The projectiles are fairly fast, but they can be dodged easily with some practice. Dark Magician Strike is Yugi's go-to combo tool for ending combos as well as being very easy to use for combo extension. The projectiles don't knock the opponent away, they instead leave the opponent stunned on the spot, so Yugi has the opportunity to continue combos alone or utilize an assist to continue combos. The main disadvantage with this ability is that Yugi stands in place and he cannot be controlled whatsoever for the duration of this ability, making it incredibly easy to punish if the opponent dodges or uses a fast ranged attack. Only costing 1 bar, this is a great tool for Yugi's kit and combo potential for starting, extending or ending combos. Yugi's second ability is called Dark Magician Girl Summon. Yugi stands in place as he summons the Dark Magician Girl to perform an attack. Dark Magician Girl spawns a circle of magic that stuns the opponent before exploding, dealing damage in multiple ticks. If the opponent is correctly caught within the initial circle, they are completely stunned and unable to do anything whilst the attack continues. Once again, because Dark Magician Girl is summoned at a location separate from Yugi, the ability has quite a lot of range, but it isn't infinite. Dark Magician Girl Summon is a very interesting and unique combo tool. For one, it can easily transition into another Dark Magician Girl Summon or into Yugi's Awaken ability. This is great to utilize when looking at dealing very large amounts of damage to kill the opponent as you dump all of your resources into your attack. Because Yugi is completely static throughout the duration of this ability, it is very easy to punish on whiff. Additionally, because of the awkward startup, Yugi can have trouble pulling this ability off in some situations. The ability isn't too difficult to combo into, however, it's just not as easy as his first ability. This ability costs 2 bars to use and it does deal more damage than Dark Magician Strike. To reiterate, this is a good ability for when you want to go all out with Yugi, especially when looking to combo into your Awaken ability without using long combos or assists. Yugi's third ability is called Draw. This is definitely Yugi's most complex ability in terms of all of the different things it can do. It's technically 5 abilities in one. When activated, Yugi stands in place to draw a card. There are 3 possible cards that can be drawn and it is completely random which one Yugi will get. Draw costs 1 ability bar to use no matter how you use it. You can also use Draw straight after your first or second ability, foregoing the random effects from drawing a card and instead dealing additional damage on top of either ability. If you use Draw after Dark Magician Strike, you will use Dark Magic Attack. This is a 4th projectile fired after the initial 3, which is larger and deals a lot more damage. In addition, it also knocks the opponent flying away, but everything else about the projectile is basically the same as the other 3. This is great for getting some increased damage at a higher cost, as well as having some neutral ranged mix-up. Using Dark Magician Strike and then Draw to enhance it will cost 2 bars total, but the damage is very good and easy to confirm into. If you use Draw after Dark Magician Girl Summon, you will use Dark Burning Magic. This will summon the Dark Magician to assist Dark Magician Girl by performing an additional explosion attack. Rather than keeping the opponent in place, this extra explosion will knock the opponent flying far away but deal a lot more damage. Once again, this is harder for combo continuation but great for raw damage. Using Dark Magician Girl Summon and then Draw to enhance it will cost 3 bars total. This requires less resources than other combos but sacrifices some of that potential damage. The damage is still very good with this though. Now to talk about the Draw ability itself, and not the way it enhances its other abilities. The 3 cards that Yugi can potentially draw are called Spell Shattering Arrow, Swords of Revealing Light, and Magic Formula. Spell Shattering Arrow has Yugi spawn 6 arrows to his side that remain static wherever they are spawned. After a couple of seconds, the arrows will fire at the opponent 2 at a time and in quick succession. These deal solid damage when they hit the opponent and apply a small amount of hit stun, useful for starting combos assuming you're already close enough. This is a great defensive tool as it can save Yugi many times by attacking the opponent whilst they're on the offense. This is hands down the best card you can draw with this ability. The arrows have extremely long range as well, but they can be dodged if the opponent is skilled. It is possible to draw 2 sets of arrows which stack on top of one another, which is cool I suppose, but it is random so you can't expect that to happen too often. Swords of Revealing Light has Yugi spawn 3 swords above where the opponent is currently standing. After a brief delay, the swords plant themselves into the ground. Once planted, the area between them will stun lock and damage the opponent. The area will be a small triangle. Whilst the ability is reasonable to dodge on reaction, the damage is completely unblockable so the opponent cannot do anything if they do get caught. This is a great time waster and gives Yugi time to charge for energy. It's also great to convert into any of Yugi's abilities, especially his second ability or his awakened ability. The opponent will very quickly white out of your combo if you try to use normal attacks as a follow-up, so don't try and do that. Magic Formula has Yugi apply an attack buff to himself. This buff lasts about 15 seconds and Yugi will have an attack boost of around 10% which applies to his abilities and normal attacks, adding to his already high damage output. Yugi will have a blue aura around him throughout the duration of this buff, so it's easy to track whether or not he has it on. This isn't a bad ability but doesn't feel as impactful as his other 2 draw cards. Yugi's awakened ability is called Slifer the Sky Dragon. Yugi summons Slifer the Sky Dragon. Slifer fires a large beam of lightning, dealing a large amount of damage, knocking the opponent away and resetting the positions of Yugi and his opponent whether or not it hits. The beam is basically instantaneous, which makes it solid for punishing the opponent no matter where they are, as well as being fairly easy to combo into, especially from the high amount of stun lock and knockups in Yugi's kit. You can combo into Slifer from Yugi's normal attacks, his first 2 abilities and his Swords of Revealing Light from his draw card. Unfortunately, the Spell Shattering Arrow has too little hit stun to follow up with. For his assist, Yugi uses his first ability, Dark Magician Strike. Note that this is the original version of that ability, so Dark Magician will fire 3 projectiles and not 4. Overall, this is a pretty solid assist because it's good for the following 3 uses. For one, it is good for continuing pressure since the assist lasts a few seconds from when the first projectile is fired until the final projectile. Also, it's good for using combos. There's a solid amount of hit stun to allow for a combo starter, but it's especially good as a combo extension assist. Also, it's good to use in the neutral, either forcing the opponent to block or making them more cautious on their attack. The assist is quite slow on startup because Yugi needs to spawn, then he needs to summon Dark Magician and then the attack continues. That's the main weakness, but because the assist fires 3 individual projectiles, it's not as easy to continue combos as other assists. It's still very good but not as powerful as Hisoka, Piccolo or Goku when you're looking to continue combos. Yugi is one of the few characters in Jump Force specifically designed to waste time by keeping the opponent away and only going on the offense when he needs to. Whilst any character can play offensively and many can play defensively, Yugi is designed with the defense in mind, utilizing some ranged mix-up and pressure with Dark Magician Strike as well as mastering when and how to use Draw is essential to Yugi's game plan. In most situations you'll want to be at a distance with Yugi and quite a far distance at that. Yugi is very limited in his potential without having high energy, so before trying to play offensively or in close range, try to charge at least 3 bars of energy to give yourself as many options as possible. That's one thing that makes Yugi interesting. He has a lot of options, but it can be very easy to shut down the options that he does have. I'd recommend pairing Yugi with a good neutral assist, one that can give Yugi additional time where he needs it to charge for energy so that he can get rolling. Once you've got energy, you can start thinking about using Draw to put some pressure on the opponent. Because of how Draw works, the opponent will usually rush you the moment you draw a card, regardless of what the card is, so consider this in your combat approach. Potentially utilize an assist that can capitalize on the opponent becoming aggressive suddenly. With high energy, that's where I'd recommend taking the initiative as Yugi and putting pressure on the opponent. Use your first ability to poke the opponent and use the 4th attack of this ability as a mix-up, so use some conditioning on your opponent to make them expect one thing and then do the other. Your second ability is incredibly risky considering the 2-bar cost, so look to throw this out whenever you're confident in it. For example, if the opponent is applying a buff to themselves or trying to use a counter. Yugi doesn't need long combos to get good damage, he just needs a lot of energy to do it. Once he has that energy, he can freely dump it into the opponent to get big damage, especially when considering his second ability and awaken ability inescapable combos. Once you've committed to the opponent in these situations, you're back at square one, zoning the opponent and wasting time so you can get the energy to do it all again. Yugi is a defensive zoner through and through, but that doesn't mean that he can't put on the offense when he needs to. When I say defensive zoner, I'm mainly saying that the objective of his zoning and ranged play isn't to deal damage, but instead to waste time and make the opponent take the initiative even when they don't want to. Whilst having the potential for long combos, Yugi's game plan doesn't encourage it, instead being able to use the clock to your advantage as well as a good assist to put the pressure onto the opponent, and when they make a fatal mistake, they will pay for it. Yugi isn't a hard character to play, but his gameplay is a lot more specific and restrictive if you try to play him like any other character. If you're looking for a character who is a dedicated zoner with some interesting and unique ways to use their abilities, look no further than Yugi. Whilst he has a lot of shortcomings, mainly when his energy is low and his normal attacks, having a good grasp of your game plan and a strong assist to complement that make Yugi much more powerful. Guys, this has been the character overview for Yugi Muto. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.